Hi everyone, I'm Joe Morrison. I'm a commercial real estate broker here in Northern California, and I wanted to talk about why zoning is so important in commercial real estate and why every investor and commercial broker should understand it in their market before closing on any deal. You might have what you believe to be the perfect building. It's partially vacant, multi-tenant industrial building, or maybe it's a strip mall near the freeway, and you know the perfect type of tenant you're about to market to get the property fully leased. However, you come to find out that, let's say, storage isn't permitted, or office use is only acceptable with a CUP or conditional use permit, which could cost anywhere from $2,500 to apply for. It's not guaranteed, and it can take 60 days on average to get an answer from any city or county. Basically, if you get this wrong and don't do your due diligence, you could buy a building that will be a whole lot more difficult to lease. You'll have to refine your investment strategy, and you probably won't get the same rental rates you were projecting before you discover the property's true zoning. So today I'm breaking down exactly what investors should know about zoning and how to protect yourself before you sign a purchase agreement. Zoning determines what you can and can't do within a property line. It can differentiate between adjacent properties and is a whole lot more complex than just commercial and residential. There can be many different types of commercial zones for industrial areas, retail districts, or office parks. And there can also be multiple types of residential zones for single-family neighborhoods or dense blocks for multi-story apartment buildings. And like how there is multiple subcategories of residential zones, there can be multiple categories of, let's say, industrial or office. One block of industrial buildings may allow auto repair or manufacturing, while the next block only allows storage and distribution. Same goes for other commercial zoning categories like office, retail, or R&D, also known as research and development. Before you write an offer, confirm the allowed or permitted uses for that property. You can check the city or county's planning department website, or better yet, call, email, or walk into their office to speak with someone in person. Also find out what are the conditionally allowed uses that can be possible with a permit, meaning uses that aren't fully permitted, but a landlord or tenant can apply for the uses to be allowed. I've had numerous of leasing deals where the tenant's proposed use is not permitted or it requires a use permit. And I've advised the tenant that if they really want the space, they should modify their business or include a dominant use in their business that is permitted. For example, I was helping a dog groomer find a storefront for her to run her dog grooming business. However, the space she really liked was perfect for her, but did not permit dog grooming. So I recommended that she sell dog treats and accessories, which would meet the city's requirements of retail while promoting foot traffic in the area, and she could run her dog grooming business in the rear area of the store. Long story short, she signed the lease, or we all signed the lease together, and it was a win-win for her and the city. One more thing, confirm the prohibited uses of the property. These are uses the city or the county will just not allow on the property. If the property is really worth buying, you can explore rezoning, but I mean, it has to be really worth buying because rezoning can be very expensive. It can take a lot of time, and after months of trying and thousands of dollars spent on attorney fees, you may not even get the result you want. I could see rezoning be worth it if you are purchasing a property and have a tenant already wanting to sign a long-term lease with you, and you're about to control the property while it gets rezoned prior to closing on a contract. Next, don't assume the existing use is legal today, because cities and counties do unfortunately change zoning ordinances, and it is possible that the building's current occupant's use today is non-conforming and would not be legal once they vacate the property. For example, if the current tenant is an auto repair or manufacturing business in let's say a downtown district, you would want to verify with the city that the current use is still permitted. If you were to purchase the building and a new tenant of the same use were to occupy the space. There are many properties where I'm currently located that are non-conforming, and if the tenant decided to vacate, the landlord would have a limited number of days to acquire a new tenant of the same use to lease the space and keep the use permitted for the property or the grandfathered use would be lost forever. Next, zoning impacts the future value through what kind of tenants can lease your space. Because the easier you're able to lease the space and the more flexible the zoning, the more valuable the property is. If the property can stay leased longer throughout the year, the shorter the vacancy rate, and if you were gonna sell the property, an investor or lender would want to see the analysis, which would include a vacancy percentage. And if the property was rarely vacant because it was always in high demand, you would be able to prove that through the analysis and the current tenant's lease agreements. And zoning also controls parking, density, and expansion, such as how high and how many units you can build on that property. Zoning will control how high you're able to build, how low you're able to dig, and how much coverage you're able to develop in comparison to the actual property or land square footage. Also, ADA, or also known as the Americans with Disabilities Act, meaning as a property owner, zoning may require you to have your property be totally compliant for disabled personnel. Next, you should always verify the zoning with the governing body, meaning the city or the county. Never rely on what the offering memorandum, sales brochure, or listing broker or landlord says. For example, my brokerage and I, we always publish what the zoning is on our sales material or marketing material with a link to the local planning department's website so potential buyers or tenants are able to research on their own if their use is permitted prior to close of transaction. However, as a buyer or tenant, you should always verify yourself either by reviewing the planning website yourself or going in person to speak with the local government planner to ensure the property meets your investment goals and you're able to lease it to the tenants you have in mind. I've heard horror stories where tenants have leased a space thinking they can open up shop just for the city to red tag them and prevent them from occupying the space. As an investor, this could leave you in a very sticky situation where your tenant could decide to not pay rent, and you having to pay attorney fees to either recuperate rental income or release the space to a new tenant. That is why you always want to do your due diligence and determine what uses are permitted on the property prior to purchase. What uses are allowed with a permit and what the permit process period could be if a tenant were to pursue a CUP, also known as a conditional use permit. Also, the feasibility, meaning what the likelihood a tenant would endure the permit process to open up shop on your property. There are also other options such as securing a master CUP or master use permit as the landlord, but we can get into that other video. Let me know if you want to talk about that. Now, although zoning can increase your property's value, it can also destroy your investment before you even get started. And if you want help analyzing zoning, use restrictions, or an investment feasibility, feel free to reach out to me. You can shoot me a comment down below. I'm Joe Morrison, here to help you make smarter, safer, and more profitable real estate decisions. And if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.